So there's this thing that can happen when you wake up, when you have your awakening. It doesn't even necessarily have to be an awakening per se. It could look like a bunch of different ways. But what we would call, I don't know, in the spiritual community, if you've come across the terminology, a spiritual identity crisis. It's like layers of yourself falling away and then you picking up the pieces and trying to put everything, like I say, in its right place. What does that look like? Why does it happen? How does it happen? All the whys and the hows and the wheres and the whens, right? All those questions that we ask. Why is this happening to me? How did it happen to me? So I'll give you guys an example. You can have something that's known as an ego death, all right? And this ego death, a lot of times it happens to people that do like psychedelic drugs, mushrooms, LSD, peyote, ayahuasca, DMT, whatever. They're more prone to that than other drugs, although other drugs may trigger some sort of thing like that in you because it is changing your internal chemistry and perception. So on some level, really any drug, even weed, because it's got hallucinogenic properties, even these drugs, they can spark something like this for you, okay? So what happens is the veil's lifted, like I say, your conscious mind expands. Your conditioned self recedes into itself. This is the ego. This is the conditioned self, all of these mental layers that you associate yourself with. It goes away, it dissolves temporarily, and now you're just left with this awareness. This is what I went through when I talk about my awakenings video and when I did the LSD, and then I wake up out of this, and I'm like, oh my God, it all makes sense, right? Okay, so this is what happens. This is what can happen. When you step into this place, if it's kind of like this awe-inspiring spiritual awakening and you're feeling lovey-dovey and all these things, then great. But it can also have an opposite effect where you're kind of terrified of it, where your mind is still there on some level, or you have the ego death and then the mind comes back in, and now the mind is trying to label and make sense of the experience, and it becomes terrified because there's some dawning of a realization of a knowing, of the grand nothingness, of how literally life is eternal. It goes forever. And your mind, the little mind, can't handle the idea of forever. It can't handle the realization embodiment of the idea of forever. And now it just starts spinning its wheels. Okay? And then when you experience an awakening or an ego death or whatever, okay, layers of yourself are unmasking themselves. Sorry, my video got cut off. You're peering, you're looking into the void, and you're trying to make sense of it when the mind comes back, okay? When you do enough work on yourself, when you devote yourself, like I say, when you really try, when you seek sincerely, okay, you're gonna have realizations that make parts of yourself get dislodged and fall away. And it can be an uncomfortable process. This is the spiritual identity crisis, because your ego is identified with these thoughts that they think is them, that it thinks is it. The mind likes to know, okay? And you get attached, it becomes static, it becomes dogmatic, it becomes fixed in your perception, the lens that you see things through. And if parts of that lens start to change, it fucks with you. It's intended to. Okay? So you have someone that's attached to a religion, an ethnicity, a nationality. They speak a language. They learn all of these things over time. This is part of their conditioned self. If you were to tell this person, you're not your nationality, you're not the language that you speak, you're not anything specifically that you're tied to. You're not. It's just one aspect. It's one tiny fragment of you. But what happens is now you think that you're this thing, and then you start having these realizations, and then maybe your nationality falls away. I'm not saying like I'm American, right? I'm not saying that I don't identify as American. Of course I am. How can I deny that I was born in the States and that I'm American, okay? But I'm not fully bought into the nationalistic idea of being American. There's a difference. And it is in that perception and understanding that this spiritual identity crisis arises. And you're like, oh shit, what am I? Who, if I'm not my religion, if this religion is in some sense fictitious, if my nationality is in some sense fictitious, right? Because the lines that we draw on the map, guys, they're all illusory mental constructs. So anything you derive from an illusory mental construct is an illusion that can fall away when you fully step into yourself and you have these realizations that then creates a crisis within you because you're trying to make sense of what you are in terms of what you thought you were at one time, that you were fully bought into. And it's very scary if it starts to dawn on you, these realizations, because your mind's trying to make sense and it's grasping. It wants to know what it is, but the mind can never know what the intuition is. In one of my videos recently, I say, the mind is jealous of your intuition almost. Your mind is basically the devil, the construct, the physical, if we're going to label it as a polar energy. And your intuition is the representation of God within you. So it's just like Lucifer being jealous of God. I need to be greater than you. You can't be greater than the intuition, mind. You can't. Ego, you can't. Your little snippet of information cannot be greater than the whole, ever. Come to terms with it. Be okay. Stay in your place. Stay in your lane. And that's what you do. You put the devil, you put the illusion in its place by reaching this understanding. After traversing perhaps an identity crisis, perhaps traversing the fear of death comes for us all. You're making sense of your own mortality. The physical comes to an end. A lot of people deal with this shit, right? The fear of the unknown, the fear of whatever. Everybody has these phobias, right? And they're all basically manifestations of the same core fear, insecurity of a separateness of a physical that eventually passes. It's like, I'm going to get up in front of all these people and I'm going to speak. Oh my God, I'm going to die. You're not going to die, but it might be a fucking traumatic event for you because you're just so utterly insecure. It's all it is. You don't want to get up there and share what you have to share during a presentation because you're just afraid of like all these different perceptions of what someone may or may not say, what may or may not come out the right way or the wrong way. All these illusory mental projections you're making and assumptions and expectations of how it may or may not look, okay? And then you create this death scenario. It's like, I might as well just fucking die because that is just a torturous fucking event, right? It creates this panic, this like, oh my God. Well, that same panic can be had when you're going through this identity crisis. Guys, this dark night of the soul, this purging, this you sitting alone in your room at night, wondering what's going on, having realizations and it terrifying you and traumatizing you almost. Grand realizations of you're like, oh my God, my life is gonna look really fucking different if I really step into this. Tying back to this fear of success. I can't handle this responsibility, God. I can't. It's too much. Letting fully go of the conditioned self and just fully being present all the time. How bizarre is that? How strange. People are strange, right? How strange does this reality become when you're looking at it through that no lens awareness of consciousness within you that is God, asking to experience itself as God within each individual focal point of a human? That's all it is. Consciousness, experiencing consciousness within itself in its various myriad formats and manifestations and physical and mental and like etheric and energetic and light and dark and whatever. All layers of the same fucking one. Everything. And you wrapping your little pea-brained mind around that starts to like, there's no wrapping your mind around it ever. There's no final conclusion that you ever reach here. It's ever going to tell you the true isness of consciousness God itself, ever. So make peace with that. It's an intuitive peace that comes in. And that's what guides you through this crisis of faith almost, of identity. You're like, what? It doesn't matter? There's no escaping it. It doesn't matter what I do. It's all pointing me back to the same path. Doesn't matter whether it's this life or the next life or whatever. Doesn't matter. I could walk into the desert with nothing. And it's like, whether I'm going to survive or not is up to God, you know? What choice do I have? I'm going to I'm going to make a decision. Any decision I make, and it's always up to God, because God's like, you don't know shit, man. You don't know what's around any corner ever. And it's going to fuck with you. This what if, the mind's always wanting to know. It can't know. All it is projections. Like in business, they have like, what are the projections for the second quarter, right? You're guessing based on past history, historic models. You're using the past, and this is what you're doing within yourself. You're using your past constructs to project into the future. What is the second quarter of Darius's life going to look like? I can't know that. So I plan and I plan and I plan, and it never looks that way. Exactly. Maybe similar. Maybe like, various shades off, but it's never the exact way I look at it. I have one specific what it's going to look like, and it cannot encompass the totality of everything. And your mind trying to reconcile that causes this crisis within you all the time, this conflict, this turmoil. It's like, I want to know. You can't know. Sorry, you're not going to know ever. And so these layers of yourself fall away. Like in the spiritual new age woo-woo community, it's raising your vibration. It's raising your frequency. It's entering into the quantum 5D dimension. It's bringing in the new earth. It's the shift, right? All these labels. And it means how it manifests and looks in your life is, oh my God, all this shit I used to buy into, all this shit that I used to think was me is not me. All these relationships that I've had, some people may stay, some people may go. How I look at life changes. The gravity with which you carry certain things, like you think certain things are just so overwhelmingly like important, and they're not. So when I say you put everything in its right place, you're basically making sense of what really matters and what you really give a shit about, and then not giving a shit about. And 99% of the stuff is zero fucks given, like I say, guys. But that 1% is critically important. Where do you place your focus? Where do you place your attention? Where do you put your energy to enact, if you want, real change in the world? The world's always changing. Whether you do anything or not, it's changing. But every person has a POV and can speak and can influence and create energetic manifestations in the physical. And the degree to which you have power and control over those things is the degree to which you are present within yourself. That's the true power. And it comes in the less you want it, and it comes in the less resistant you are to the isness of whatever. You're flowing with it. I'm not trying to impact change every single place, every aspect, I can't. It's impossible. I'm just one little body. I'm just one little me. All I can do is implant ideas in people and speak words and do deeds, right? Really small snippet things. But with how connected we are today, with how technologically advanced we've become in these thousands of years since the Stone Age, for example, right, where we started having our first civilizations, we're very connected now, and we can really change and create movements. And these movements have always happened, man. Civilizations rise, governments fall, eventually, right? Empires rise and fall. This is the natural ebb and flow and creation and destruction cycle. So your one little snippet part of it is contributing to that whole, whether you like it or not. And so when you're having this crisis point where you're like, oh my God, like the ego goes away, and you really, really see, guys, these awakenings I'm talking about, you really see, and it's starting to make sense, the nature of reality. Starting to make sense. It's beyond philosophy, it's beyond psychology, it's beyond any scientific endeavor, rational, academic endeavor. These are very deep intuitive understandings that words cannot be put to. When you're going through this, then all of these constructs that you once thought were a part of you start to dissolve, and that can be scary because there's some karmic attachment to these things that you used to think you are, and maybe you still are, and you're going back and forth. And that's why you have to sit in meditation and prayer every day at some point. Because in that stillness, while these things are dissolving, you're having these realizations and you're seeing where your mind is, and it's popping these things up to be looked at. It's like you have this fearful thought. That's your portal. That's your entry point into understanding what is this thing that is at the forefront of my mind consciousness that is scaring me. I need to look at that. And you're not going to force an understanding. The understanding comes of its own accord when it's ready. That is why you sit and you're patient and you're still. And you're like, God, whenever you want to make it known to me, your own knowing and understanding is greater than mine. So I trust you and have faith that you're going to let me know what I need to know when I need to know it. And I'm letting go. The God, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel kind of shit, right? That's what it is. Not that Jesus or any one individual soul has that kind of power, but they can make it known to you. A Jesus or a guardian angel or an archangel or a Buddha, these advanced souls that have graduated from the earth plane or have not yet incarnated and are just sitting up there like watching over, they're the ones that are kind of guiding and directing you. You have a team, like I say, of souls. Your guardian angels and your spirit guides, these things are very real things. People don't buy into it. They are snippets, snapshots of an etheric soul, spirit, spark. That's the same energy that's in you. It's just they're the same thing, but they're not incarnated. So they're one with the God that gives them all the messages and intuitive understandings. And they're sending you messages through your crown into you. Makes it known into your mind, and then it seeps into you. It's important to open the heart and the mind, and there's the symbiosis that they say, this heart-mind coherence or whatever. You can call it that in the spiritual community. All these labels, man, chakras and what, it's all, it's not it. None of it is it. It's just little illustrations that some people need as signposts to help get them on a path. And you'll see that when you graduate, guys, all of that stuff is an illusion at some level. Even the chakras that the spiritual community is so bought into. Do you think Jesus knew what the chakras were in like the Hindu yogic Kriya yoga, whatever tradition? They didn't label it that way, man. Because if they did, then they would have been talking about it. You don't need to know the chakras. How many advanced civilizations have had awakened and enlightened masters appear without knowing what the chakras were? You see what I'm saying? These are just, but then they come into the mainstream and then they just become like this, this is how it is, right? And yes, if you agree and believe and buy into it, you can use the chakras to cleanse yourself and project Om into them and like open them and what. Yes, they're there, but they're also not there. And the degree to which you believe them is the degree to which you can heal yourself through them. And if you don't buy into it, it's almost like the atheist that doesn't believe in any of this shit. What access point are they going to have to heal themselves? Well, they'll use like psychology, I guess. And then they'll sit down and they'll like do cognitive behavioral therapy. And it'll be the mind trying to understand the mind, and the mind trying to understand behavior, and the mind trying to understand anything that's going on in this physical. And basically you're ignoring 99% of what's going on ever, because the physical is like less than 1% of what is out there, guys. The unseen is way greater than the seen. And so what you're doing by only acknowledging the physical is you're cutting yourself off from the totality of the consciousness of God that is. You're never going to understand the subconscious. So make peace with that and let the subconscious stay in the subconscious. You'll have glimpses into it through these ego deaths, through this crisis. You'll have glimpses into the grand consciousness of everything, into the grand subconscious. You'll have glimpses, but you can't stay there because you're here physically. And at some point you do have to interact. You can, I mean, guys, if you want, like I've said in like a couple examples, you're gonna sit by the river Ganges like the yogis do, and you're just gonna stay blissed out. You're just gonna do yoga, like a lotus pose, and just sit and meditate all day, and you're just merged with all these layers of consciousness. You can do that. You can. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a valid way of existence. But most people, they're not gonna do that. If everybody sat and did nothing, then nothing would happen. We would fall away as a society. There'd be no food. There'd be no sex. There'd be no nothing. So in one generation, we'd all be dead. If everybody sat and did nothing and meditated all day. Do you see what I mean? It's okay for some, and then they're not working. So where's the income? Well, they're beggars, most of them. It's God's grace that gives them food and sustenance through another person and their own grace and karma. So it's like, yeah, you can be the beggar if you want. I've lived the beggar life, man. I've lived the homeless existence. I know it. I'm very familiar with it. I know what it's like to not know where your next meal is going to come from. I know that. I'm familiar with it. I've been through a lot of shit, guys. So when I say trust me, I know various aspects of pain and suffering. And I had to go through those things to put them in the... I had to go through these things to put them in their right place. And that's part of this. It's like all the pain that I ever went through, all the suffering I ever went through, at some point I became attached to it and I thought it was me. And then even that pain, you can like step back from it and then look at it. It's like your consciousness. It's not even your eyes or your ears or anything. It's just like this awareness that's like this, it's merged awareness through all your senses and even your non-senses, your intuition, sixth sense. It looks at these snippets of events in the past. It's always going to be in the past, do you see? It's like, if I'm in this moment using my awareness, consciousness to look at something, the only place in the mind that it's stored is in this past aspect of myself. The future has yet to come. The future is always evolving and always unfolding, okay? Past is past. So your mind is basically just past residue that you're always looking at and interpreting life through. So it's basically the past trying to interpret the present moment to create a future, and it is all illusory. The only true connection is a no-mind state in the present moment where a future doesn't even exist and a past doesn't even exist. There's no time. You're so merged with this oneness of everything. There's no time. But things play out linearly in the physical, and you come to terms with that. And so when you're really rooted in the present moment, it's much harder for fear to come in and take you over because you understand how fleeting everything is. So even a momentary lapse of fear, it's like, okay, you want to come in and try and fuck with me? Fear, temptation, the devil, illusion, whatever. You want to come in and try and fuck with me? Okay. I see you though now. I see you though. Before I had this crisis of identity, before I purged everything, the fear would come in and it's like I thought it was me, and I thought all the pain and suffering was me, and I thought this misalignment was me, and I thought this external like reality and what wasn't going on in my story and what wasn't happening for me was me. I had internalized all of these different aspects of whatever's in this reality. It's very common to do that because we learn in terms of this physical reality that we're born into, the environment, right? It's like nature versus nurture. It's all the same. They're all valid. It isn't nature or nurture, it's both and neither. How can it be neither? And this is where you step out, you start getting too philosophical. You start getting too advanced. It's like, guys, the more branched out and philosophical and over analytical you become and mind analyzing all these different aspects, the further away you're getting from the truth, ironically. The truth is usually very simple and direct, can be said in a sentence or two, right? Don't listen to me. Don't look at me, who's hours and hours and hours of videos, guys. I mean, I have to do that to create content. So I create these elaborate illustrations and stories and words, and it's a gift that I have to put these things. I understand these things, and I'm good at putting them for you to understand in today's experience. If I'm speaking this message 2,000 years ago, it's not going to sound this way like it's coming out now. It's going to sound like the people spoke 2,000 years ago, right? So everything, like, they didn't have social media 2,000, 5,000 years ago. In ancient Egypt, they didn't have social media, okay? So if I'm talking to you guys about how you're losing yourself in social media, well, the ancient Egyptian can't relate. They wouldn't know what it's like to lose oneself in social media and doom scroll all day and like always be like trying to find out what's going on outside and trying to seek validation through social media and all the shit that we do today. They have no frame of reference for it. All of these things, any spiritualist that comes along and speaks truth, it's always framed for right now. It's all it can be. So it's almost like what you're going to do with your awakening and how you purge and what falls away. You make peace with it as quickly as you can. It's all you can do. Because every step of the way, if it's this fighting conflict, like I can't let go of this. I can't. Like let's say you're sitting in meditation one day and you're praying, you're like, God, please, bring what's for my highest good. I want to know what's next on the agenda for me to purge through. You could do it like that. And then God, through an image, shows you something. It's like you realize through this image that the sports teams that you used to buy into, not important anymore. You've created a whole identity around being a fan of a sports team. Think about how many people, mostly men, right? Sports is like mostly men, very men dominated. Sure, there's lots of women, but not like men, okay? Lots of men, very into sports. Their team, right? Whether they win or they lose, what they do, what in the off season and the NFL draft and the Major League draft and all these things. And I bought into all of that shit too at one point, guys. I still like that stuff, but I don't lose myself in it like I once did. Well, let's say God really makes it realized and you used to be this fanatic of like this soccer team in Europe or anything. And you almost even like looked at your entire life through it. You planned out your events. I can't wait to go to see Manchester United play in Old Trafford, and I can't wait to go to see Fenway Park and Wrigley Field. And you have all these events and all these things that you wanted on the bucket list to do, right? And then all of a sudden you have this realization that like I'm a fan of this team, and then that falls away. And now all those plans that you had invested so much energy and time in, that's the identity, the crisis of it falling away. And you're like, oh my God, if that's not real, then all the sports teams and all that shit that I ever liked isn't real. And then these dawnings, these realizations start coming in very rapidly because you start correlating all of them. They're all on the same level of mind stuff that you're buying into. And once one or two or three things start falling away, you start very quickly making these associations, and now it fully dawns on you, oh my fucking God, what have I been doing with my life? Like, for real though, it will fuck with you. There's no way around it, guys. It will fuck with you. So keep on the path. I like finishing these videos with like words of encouragement, right? It's like, keep on the path, do the work, sit in meditation and prayer, right? You guys know the gist of it by now. And to summarize, you have no idea how awesome you are, the badass that you are, the spiritual badass that you are. It's like, what are you saying, Darius? I can't have these things that I like used to. No. What I'm saying is, you pick and choose what matches where you're at on your path. and it flows and comes in. It's like what I feel like doing in any given moment can be anything. I'm not going to limit myself and compartmentalize myself into only doing certain things. That's why I'm saying do the spontaneous, in the moment, intuitive shit. Get yourself in that place, and then you start to realize that all these routine construct things that you're so bought into, they're illusory. And now it's like this whole portal of existence opens up to you that like you step into, like the fucking Stargate, you know? You walk into like this other dimension, this portal into like a whole brand new life, the rebirth, the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's like, oh my God, I am experiencing the new earth for myself. Imagine if everybody experienced the new earth for themselves, the kingdom of heaven. It's magnificent. And yet most people don't see that that's what they're looking for because they're blinded by their own blindness. It's the fucked up thing. It's like you go up to somebody, you're like, hey man, you're blind. Like, what are you talking about, man? I know what's going on. You can't go up to somebody and say that. You're insulting them, right? So you automatically put them on the defensive, and then they're less likely to take the message. I disagree, Darius. I don't agree with whatever truth you think you're saying. It's like, okay. There's no arguing with this truth that I speak, guys. There really isn't. You guys can come in and like mentally masturbate all over my comment section all you want. Eckhart says the same thing. There's no arguing with truth. You can get caught up on idiosyncratic word choices, sure, all day. That's all you're doing. Mental debates, like I'm gonna sit and argue my position. Okay, argue it till you're blue in the fucking face, man. And I'll go live my life while you're still arguing. Like old man yell at clouds kind of shit. Grumpy old man. He's like, I don't agree, Darius. You're too angry and too petulant and too annoying. I don't like you. Okay. But that does not detract, does not take away from the message. It's purity. If you're aligned with truth, the message is pure. The message is good. The good news. And then you start aligning yourself more and more and more with it. And then parts of you fall away. And it's like, oh my God, the truth is the truth. And I get what Darius means by once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's literally in everything, like almost haunting and chasing you around. That even if you wanted to fall off of the path, you couldn't anymore because God's like, hey, you've been down that road enough times, man. And your intuition screams it to you immediately. It's like, no. It's like a smack on the butt, like, no. You're like, no. And you tell yourself that the no comes up. It's not a resistant no. You're not resisting. It's basically just course corrections. It's like, no, this is the path. Take this way. It feels better. Trust me. I've been through enough shit. You know by now, right? Stop baiting yourself into this shit existence, man. As scary as however the external or internal landscape may look for you, keep aligning yourself as much as possible. It's the only path. It's the only real path.